Well, it's opening day. It's about 5 in the morning. We got about an hour and a half until shooting light this morning. And I know there's at least 2 gobblers in the woods. Dad and I were driving around last night, and one was fully fanned on one side of the woods, and I'm assuming he's with hens. And there's another one on the opposite side of the woods that we believe was the other bird. We think he had a few hens with him too, because he was strutting too. Should be a good morning. It's supposed to be a little bit chilly. It'll be like 39 degrees. And the forecast called for no sun, so I'd rather have the sun out. But nonetheless, the birds were active yesterday evening, especially when that sun popped out. And it should be a good morning. Alrighty, folks. Let me explain what just happened here. I was sitting right here, and I was just about to move. I had two gallivers come across the field this morning, and they both were strutting, and they saw the decoys and acted interesting. But then a hen followed them, and the hen actually came out to the decoys, and she was in the decoys, and one of the toms was just about 60 yards, like right over here, and he was strutting and hung up. And then a deer walked out in the field right over here, and for whatever reason that deer didn't like the decoys, and that deer being spooked and started stomping at it. That got the hen worried, and she started walking back, and the tom followed. And by that time I didn't really know what to do. It was about 7:45, and the other tom that was in the field, he went back into the woods as well. So I sat for the longest time over here just trying to figure out what the next move was, and I was about to move and go into the woods and see if we could get a bird to come in. But it's just being patient and just trying not to make the wrong move. And sure enough, I have just two deer come over, and it's just a little buck that was feeding in the field, and it was enough to make me stay in my seat and just sit there. And finally that deer goes into the woods, and I am, no joke, just about to start moving, and I look right around at this corner here, and that bird is literally right there, right over here, and I'm sitting right here. So that's not even 10 yards. He was in full strut when I first saw him, and he just walked over, and he was locked onto this Jake decoy. And boy, I am glad I stayed where I did this morning, because it was just picture perfect. Still shaking a lot. Let's see if that's a better view. Yeah, so here he is. He's just a 2-year-old bird. Not the biggest spurs, but it's not really what it's about. He gave this decoy here an ass beating, and it's a good thing I staked this thing as far into the ground I did. I let him hit on it for as long as I could, and even when I was grabbing my gun, I mean, right over here where I was sitting, it's probably 11 or 12 yards away. He was just locked onto this decoy and never even paid any attention to me moving and settling in, because I'm pretty hidden. I have a good background. But he was just locked in on this decoy, and he was pretty ticked that he was with this hen over here. So absolutely beautiful. I'm not sure if it was one of the birds that walked across this field this morning. I'd imagine it was, because they both were interested and knew the decoys were here, and only one of them was locked up with the hen that came in. So I'd imagine he was a subordinate tom. He wasn't the dominant bird. And with that other bird being around, I don't know if he wanted to come over here and investigate just because he was with that other bird. But the other bird got henned up, and I think that kind of worked out to my advantage this morning. So I guess we'll get packed up here. This has proven to be the spot. Last night we drove around and there's a tom right out here where he was. And then last year, probably just right over here, is right where it happened. About the same exact story. A little bit earlier in the spring this year, I guess, and a little bit different weather, but tried and true, it is still the spot to be. These birds like to be right here. Look like you shall. This morning there was probably 3 or 4 birds in this woods, and then there was one behind me, probably 300 yards away, and sure enough 2 came across the field, and once the hen was spooked after that deer was in the field, I really thought that this spot wasn't really going to do anything, but you never know what's going to happen. You just got to be patient, and I knew that those birds knew that these decoys were here, and I knew the one tom was henned up, but I would have never guessed that this bird would have came in. But just being patient and really sitting tight is really what helped me out, and is why I'm sitting right here at this bird this morning. Alright, walking out, bird on the shoulder. Now to get this guy cleaned, get him in some water in the fridge, get ready to cook him later. But now, it's time to finally get back to school and actually maybe go to class. that is a wrap for the 2019 season for me, in Indiana at least. I'm tagged out. Now, I guess I've got until May 7th to hunt with some friends here in Indiana. And then by that time, at May 7th, I'm heading up north to Wisconsin. My friend and I, we're going to go up there and hunt for the second week of their season. And hopefully we can have as much luck as I just did this morning. So